morning. Recently, I was playing around with that new AI chat, the AI chat thing, GPT-3, and I was very impressed with how well it could code, and I think that that's really cool. And there are kind of two different people when talking about AI. There is the kind of person that you talk to them and they're like, oh my God, AI is going to take over all of our jobs. We're never going to be able to work again because they're too good at that. And then you've got the people in the other camp that are like, this is going to be the best tool ever. It's going to help us to do our jobs better and faster. And so what's the truth? Well, I can tell you where my mind is at. Initially, after experimenting with it, I can see a place where like before I couldn't really see it, but now after having used it, I can see a place we come to where you just tell the computer the kind of app that you want to make and it will build it for you. And we are not there yet. Chat GPT is not good enough to do that. That being said, I can see a time coming in the future where it is good enough to do that. And so we have to ask ourselves, are people who code going to become obsolete? And the crazy thing is, I think that they might. I'm not very optimistic for the future of the coding job market with this type of technology coming into play. There's still going to be web professionals that work with this technology. Like the CEO isn't just going to say, oh, build me, tell Chat GPT to build him an app, and it's going to build him an app. He's going to hire somebody who's like, hey, Mr. So-and-so, you're our web developer. Can you build me an app? And that guy is going to be an expert at using these tools that is going to build, that's just going to tell it to build an app. So I'm not very optimistic about it. Like, I do think that it's going to take a lot of people's jobs, just like technology has taken a lot of people's jobs in the past. But also, with that being said, I do think that there is a place for, like, it's not creative. It can't envision its own app to build. You have to have the idea of how to build the app. And for that, that's really where people are going to still be in play, is it's going to be the people having the ideas of what types of apps to build and how they want the user interface to be and that kind of thing. But then again, AI is pretty good at coming up with that stuff too. So you come up with these different types of technologies and you say, hey, Chat GPT, build me an app that does X. Or, hey, ChatGPT, give me 3 different ideas of a good app to make. And it's going to come up with, 3 or 4 different ideas, and then you pick from those. It's going to be a good starting point for that. But either way, no matter what, a lot of the jobs are going to be eliminated. I'm almost certain of that. So instead of being fearful, there is a certain amount of acceptance that we have to have and say to ourselves, this train is coming. It's not going to stop, and it's not going away. Knowing that it's not going to stop and it's not going to go away, what do we do? Because you're not going to eliminate it. Being afraid of it and trying to get rid of it is not going to be, it's not going to change anything. It's still coming. So instead of asking, how can I stop this? I have to ask myself, what do I do about it? And that's the question. I think that's the question that a lot of people are asking themselves is, what do we do about it? And like GitHub Copilot, what do you do about it? ChatGPT, what do we do about it? And that's the question. The most obvious things in my mind, the most obvious thing, there's, I think, about 2 like really obvious paths. If we take AI as a given and we know it's coming and we know it's going to take those jobs, to me there's like maybe 2 things that you can do about it. Obviously there might be other things that you can do, but these are the 2 most obvious things that I can think of at the moment. Number 1 is that you change careers into a field that AI has a more difficult time taking. That's the first thing. The second thing is you learn how to use the tools, and you become the guy that the CEO comes to and says, hey, build me an app like this. And I think the safer of those 2 options, honestly, is take a job that's more difficult for AI to take. Because if you become the guy that the CEO comes to, that guy's job is going to be encroached upon eventually, because at the speed that things are developing, eventually, I don't know how long it's going to take, but eventually the CEO will just be able to say, hey, give me 4 options for an app. Okay, out of those 4 options, I want to build that one. Hey, ChatGPT, build that app for me. And that's like 3 questions and that he's got to know the answer to. And at that point, the CEO will be able to say it. And at that point, anybody can become the CEO, which means that there's going to be a lot more people who can build apps, way more people that can build apps. And when you have that many people anybody can build an app, the skill is essentially useless, and there's got to be a different field that you can move into. You're going to be pushed into a different field anyways, because there's no jobs. Everybody can do it. And maybe a third possible option, the third possible option being you become really, really, really good, like the top 1% of people who can program, and you start training these AI models. And, eventually that's going to go away too, because that's going to get encroached upon as well, because AI will be able to do it. And then pretty soon, nobody is going to understand the underlying technology. And it's just going to be computers running computers. And at that point, I mean, this all, in my mind, it all seems inevitable. Like, it's not going to happen. I mean, unless some kind of a catastrophe happens where, countries go to war and these companies are not able to provide these services anymore. It's just going to happen. I can't imagine a world in where it doesn't, unless, there's a couple scenarios where it doesn't, obviously, but they're all like man-made scenarios. If things continue on the path, the technology continues on the path that it's on, the robots are going to take over a lot of things. There's very few things that they will not be able to do. It just seems inevitable to me. I couldn't see it before, but now it's a little bit scary, but you have to say to yourself, it's coming. It's going to be here. What do I do knowing that it's coming? Those are the questions you have to ask. Anyways, that's the video for today. I will see you tomorrow on the next one. If you have any thoughts on this, I would love to hear them. I would really love to hear them because it is kind of scary. And I will talk to you in the next video.